how do we deal with when big problems come in our lives, when a lot of stress is just there? You know, it's part of life, isn't it? Every so often things happen in our lives and an enormous amount of stress comes into our lives. Well, we're all different. And first of all, it's really important to acknowledge that we're all different and we all deal with, you know, things, major events, things, stress, life events, all of those things that come into our lives. And it's important to respect that we all do it differently. But what is some things that we can actually, how can we support our well-being when we've got stuff going on, when we've got stress? One of the things I was taught a number of years ago, not like when I was a child, a few years ago, as a lot of you know, that I actually have taught well-being as part of, I've done so for over a decade, and I've come back to my original trade, which is carpentry, woodwork and all things wood. But while I was working and I was doing a lot of teaching, one of the things I learned as I was teaching around stress is the analogy of using an elastic band. And I actually haven't got one here, but we all know what an elastic band is, don't we? And what happens with an elastic band if we just stretch it and stretch it and stretch it and stretch it and stretch it? What's going to happen? It's going to snap, isn't it? It will do. Eventually it will reach its breaking point. It will reach its breaking point. And when we're in life, it's good to know, it's good to get some sort of understanding as to where is our point where we can't stretch any further. Sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we go beyond that and we break, don't we? Sometimes that just happens in life and we hit something and it snaps. But it's good to actually maybe think from a well-being point of view. When we're stressed, when we've got lots of stuff going on in our lives, is to actually think, okay, am I overdoing it? What can I actually deal with at the moment? What's the point? What's that stretch where some stretch is good, but too much stretch is bad? Equally, if we just allow the elastic band to go really just soggy, limp, whatever, no tension at all, that actually can be just as stressful for lots of us. And some of us actually can struggle with that. So it's about finding what is the optimum in our stretch, in knowing that where we are in our curve, where we can go with what we can deal with, what we can handle when it comes to stress. So it's good to actually just to come up with that, and we're all different. Some people can have an enormous stretch, other people only this much, and we all deal with things really, really differently. Another thing is taking just what's the next step? What's the next step? Because sometimes we can get so overwhelmed with looking at that, what we've got to deal with, that it becomes too much and we see the whole thing. But actually, what's just the next step? You know, a journey of 1,000 miles is only completed one step at a time. And sometimes we need to reduce it down, particularly when we're under enormous amounts of stress or pressure, or life is just getting on top of you, down to one step. And bringing our focus and our attention down to that one step. And you think, well, that's not much, is it? But actually, if we just focus on each one step, eventually we look round and we think we've done 15 steps. Oh, I've actually moved from here to here. But it wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't too much because I was just dealing with it in one step at a time. So how do we deal with stress? Those are just a couple of things that when we actually, things are on top of us or life gets just like overwhelming, think about your stretch of your elastic band. What is your stretch? Or maybe you just need to reduce it in that time and actually be kind to yourself. And what's just the next step, and focus on that. This has been another woodworking and wellbeing video. So go and check out some of the other stuff around wellbeing on my channel. It's really important to me, all of our wellbeing and how we support that and how we look after ourselves. So from me here, take care and look after yourself.